I would say don't be intimidated by SEO. Google might be changing, but if you're really an expert in your topic and you have valuable skills to share, then don't be afraid to put them out there. Your expertise is what's going to mark you out in the future as AI content takes over the internet. True experts are going to be at a premium. So get building that online brand universe and let your expertise shine through.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are and wherever you're watching from. My name is Matt Pierce. I'm the host of the Visual Lounge. And today we're going to be talking about something that is behind the scenes of video creation that you don't even really think about. We talk about creating video, we talk about editing video, but then there's this whole piece about distributing your video and getting it out there so people can find it, they can see it, and that finding it is a really critical piece. And there's something called SEO, search engine optimization. And if you don't know what that is, if you're thinking, I don't have to worry about people finding my content, still, you might want to listen in because this is the way the world works in the world of the internet. And I think we're going to have a really great conversation about this with our guest today. And I think it's something that everyone should learn more about. So let's go ahead and introduce our guest. Samantha North is an accomplished entrepreneur and SEO coach with a rich background in journalism and over a decade of experience in digital marketing. She has successfully grown 2 profitable blogs from scratch. Samantha's current mission is to help experts transform their knowledge into income through simple SEO content strategies enhanced by AI assistance. She has recently launched a private membership community, the Content Authority Club, offering live training and ongoing support in this area. Additionally, Samantha is in the final stages of completing her PhD, so please help me welcome to the Visual Lounge, Samantha North. Hi, Samantha.
Hey, Matt. It's really good to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me. I mean, your list of accomplishments is impressive, and if you're finishing a PhD, I know you're busy. So I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me, of all people.
Always happy to jump on a podcast, and in particular for a friend of Salma's, who is my very good friend here in beautiful Madeira. And she's such a video expert as well. And thank you for the very nice introduction. You made me sound fantastic. So,
well, I'm sure you are. And everyone should go check out Salma Jaffrey's stuff on her content. She is fantastic, and she's been on the podcast. You can check out her past episode. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. I want to get to our first question here, and it's one we ask everybody. What's one tip you could give our audience about using video better in their work?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is very much from the standpoint of my background, which is in blogging and SEO with written content. But what I want to draw out in this session is really how video plays into that. So, for example, if you have a website for your business, you can make that work very nicely with video. So, let's say you have a topic of a blog post that you've done in text. It's really easy to create an accompanying video for that. You can just use the text of the blog post, you can plug it into an AI tool with an appropriate prompt, and that will generate a really nice conversational script with the right prompting. And then you can easily create that YouTube video and embed it in the text of your blog. So this is a really nice 2-pronged approach because the presence of the video in that text helps to give more authority. It helps your SEO because the readers will stay on the page for longer. And as a bonus, you're also building your presence on YouTube alongside it. Salma and I actually created a really effective AI prompt for this exact task. And I can say that it's really helped me grow on both YouTube and my blog.
Well, I love that just because it's a repurposing, right? Like you already got something. Yep. So take that text, that blog post, turn it into something else. And obviously people are looking for different types of mediums and different approaches. And some people might want to watch a video. Some people might want to read. So it seems like a very practical way to do it. And with AI, it seems like you can get to it relatively quickly.
It's a game changer. Like with the right prompting, of course, you can't just plug in like a quick command and expect it to be perfect. But once you get to grips with it and start getting more sophisticated with the prompting, it's quite impressive what it can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Samantha, I want to talk about this SEO thing because it is something that I know from personal experience. For a long time, I'd heard the letters SEO and I kind of knew what it meant, but then it's only been recently in the last year that I've really started to even kind of crest of what is this thing. So from let's start high level and we'll kind of dig down here. What is SEO and why should people care?
Yeah, well, it stands for search engine optimization, for anyone who didn't know that already. And it's basically the science, or maybe the art, or a combination of the two, of getting your content to show up in search engines for people when people type in certain relevant terms. So you know how often we all use search engines, we type whatever into Google, how to start a YouTube channel, right? If I had a YouTube channel teaching that, it would be amazing if my video was the first one that showed up in the search results when somebody typed that in. You can imagine that for a business, that kind of advantage is really going to help you grow. So that's really what it is in a nutshell. Because it's Google, because we're trying to almost game an algorithm. There's a lot of nuance that goes into the kind of the science of making that happen. But in short, yeah, it's being found for relevant things that people are searching for that can help you grow your business.
I mean, it's one of those things that sounds so easy. Like you want to be found for this thing, but I know from experience in working with a team that does this that it is actually a lot more complicated. And I'm curious for someone who's maybe just, especially when it comes, I mean, we can tie this all to video, right? It works. It works for blogs. It works for other things. Anything you want to be found. But I'm curious, like, where would you start? Like, let's take that how to make a YouTube channel. Let's use that as our example. What advice would you give about, like, how does someone actually start this process, particularly if they have a video? They're like, hey, I'm going to make a video how to do this, because it feels like I could make a video and I could still be way off on having it be found, right? Because that's a hard thing to do. Google's got, a million things it could serve, and it's got to choose
Totally.
you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can give you the loose formula of
Yeah,
how
yeah,
that works.
please.
So yeah, I would start with so the first thing I like to do is think about my ideal reader or my ideal client, right? Like, what is a problem that they have, and how might they be searching for it in YouTube or in Google? We can say YouTube for this example because both of those are search engines and they work in a similar way. So then I would probably use a keyword research tool, and I think TubeBuddy is one of the best ones I've seen for YouTube. And I would start typing in the different search term ideas I had that might match what the person is searching for. And the tool would give me lots of suggestions for the exact phrases that people are typing in based on the data that it has. And it would also give me some metrics about the numbers of people searching per month. Is it one person or is it 10,000 people? That's going to make a lot of difference as to whether it's worth creating this video or not. Another important metric to look at is how competitive is this topic. Are there a ton of people creating content for this particular keyword, or are there very few? And if there are very few, then of course you have a better chance of showing up for it. So take the customer problem, do keyword research to identify the phrase that makes the best sense for you in terms of volume and competitiveness. And once you've established those, the third thing I always do is look at who is already ranking either in Google search or on YouTube in the top 10 videos or blogs when I type in that keyword into the search bar. And this is super important. You cannot ignore your competitors because there's a reason why their videos are showing up on the top pages of Google, of YouTube, right? There's something about their videos that people like, that is resonating, and that is getting watched again and again and again. So you can use that as a model, as a kind of a jumping off point to help you figure out how to structure your own content. And while I never recommend copying anything verbatim ever, it's more about looking at the kind of frameworks that they're using and the key ingredients that they include in their content, and then making sure you have that, and then adding your own value and your own unique spin, and additional information from your own unique expertise. And to me, this little workflow is what I do every time I think about creating a new blog post or a new video. And so far, it's working pretty well, at least for my blog. I've only recently got started on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a great experience, and because it did lead to the question that I was thinking about, and I think you've sort of answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyways just to make sure I'm clear on it. Like, so you do all this research, right? Kind of this, you're looking at your competitors, you're thinking about your audience, you're thinking about doing the kind of difficulty level, and of course, if something's like super difficult, maybe that's not where you want to start. From there, though, obviously there still needs to be content. We still need to make whether it's a blog post or a video or whatever we're doing from an SEO perspective, we still need to make that content. And how should that stuff that you just talked about, how does it really shape what we do in the content? So let's say we're on this trying to make a video about how to make a YouTube channel. Does that mean I should be like using the keywords like as exact phrases that I say? Are there things that I should be doing? There's so many things you can do. Title, description. I know on blog pages it's probably meta descriptions. There's all these parts and pieces, and I'm just curious. Like at a high level, research. We do our research. We prepare. We say we know what this is. What impact does it have on the actual content we make?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really important because in my consulting work, I see so many websites with blog content that is not optimized, and I'm sure it's the same for YouTube videos as well. There's a slightly different process between optimizing a blog post for search and optimizing a YouTube video. I'm more familiar with the first one, but there's a lot of overlap between the two. So for starters, yeah, like you take that phrase like how to start a blog, right? That's what you're targeting. You don't have to include it word for word, like as in the same order in the title. Google's smart enough to figure out different variations, but I actually like to do that just because I think it makes things clearer and cleaner, and the easier it is for Google's bots to understand what your blog or your video is about, then the easier it is for them to rank you. So let's say I'm doing a how-to piece. I would put the how to start a blog as the first part of my title, and then I might put something like more captivating after that part, like a subtitle, like how to start a blog, 11 proven expert tips for 2024, something along those lines. This is our SEO stuff. For YouTube, learning from Salma, you need to be a bit more, there's a slightly different approach there. It's more about making people curious and drawing them in to view the video. But broadly speaking, have the keyword in there. If you're doing a blog, put it in the meta description as well. And I would probably look to include it probably in the first 10% of the content of the actual body of the text, and probably in what I say in the video as well. But other than that, I don't go too crazy with stuffing the keyword in, because that can actually backfire. And keyword stuffing is a thing, and it's a bad thing. First of all, it's going to make your content sound awkward and weird, and that's never good, because we're thinking of our viewers and our readers here, not just Google bots. So and also, if Google notices that you're stuffing your keyword in stupid, unnatural places, then you might get penalized. So I would say title, meta, mention it a couple of times in the content. And in YouTube, I think it's advised to put the keyword like at the beginning of your description, just so people immediately know that when they're searching, this thing that they found is going to answer their search query. It's all about giving the user what they're searching for to the best possible extent.
So I'm just gonna say, I know because I'm lucky I live in this a little bit, but I can imagine someone saying, "Oh my gosh, there's so much to do, and just so much to learn." What advice would you give someone who, and I know you're kind of on this journey, as you said, with video for yourself, but you're obviously an expert in SEO when it comes to blogs and things like that. What advice would you give for someone who's like, "Oh my gosh, I do want to do this. I don't know where to really get going." And obviously you've given us some really great starting advice, but it's goes on and on from what we need. What would you suggest people do if they're really interested in maybe learning more because they want to be their videos to be found, or they want their blogs, particularly their web pages, blogs, whatever it might be, to be found? How does one get good at this or learn what you've learned?
Yeah, well, the way I got good at this was really from being at the coal face and building my first website with SEO in mind. I think I don't think there's anything better than that, than starting just setting up a simple WordPress website, and doing some keyword research and learning as you go along. And you'll soon start to see in your analytics if this content is hitting the mark. Is it gaining impressions? Are people clicking on it? It's going to take a few months in most cases. But again, there's no substitute for really like personal experience and just doing it. And it's the same with YouTube. Like, I've started two YouTube channels actually. I have another one for a relocation consultancy that I started a few years ago, and that's somehow it grew a lot faster than my new one. I think because the topic was a lot more niche than blogging and SEO, because a ton of people are writing about those. But again, with both of those, you just have to jump in there, start creating the content, and start looking things up and learning as you go along. That's really, there's not really a substitute for that. There's a ton of free material online. You can take courses. You could join my community. You could read my blog. Shameless plug. But honestly, yeah, like just get started and don't worry, because especially with the blog, like no one is going to see your first blog post because no one is going to be able to find them in search. So you can just go ahead and publish that stuff and don't worry so much for a few months. It's all about building up that muscle for content, and just getting it out there and then looking things up and learning as you go along.
Yeah, I love that, and I have a coworker who she's doing a lot of SEO stuff right now, and she's like saying the hard part is it takes months. Even if you make changes, it's still a month before you really see what Google's going to do based on those changes. So it's a long play. I'm curious, as you've been on this journey of learning more about video SEO. One of the questions that I think about is, from a distribution standpoint, obviously there's a lot of reasons to be on YouTube. Right? YouTube is its own search engine. It's the number 2 search engine in the world. Do you find, or do you have any thoughts about whether if you have a video on YouTube, or should videos just be on YouTube, or should it be involved in your other content as well? Should you have videos that are like in your blog post or on your website that are also trying to maybe help with the SEO lift?
Yeah, you should 100% involve videos in your blogging strategy and your LinkedIn strategy and your other social media. The power of video, it's becoming really apparent to me now. I was quite a late starter with video. I went through all that angst that people probably go through. I sound weird and look weird on video, and it's all weird. And so that was a bit of a barrier to get over. Like, I think many people have this issue. It's a bit unnatural seeing ourselves on video for the first time. But once I forced myself to get over that, it soon became clear that there's no better way to build trust and rapport with your audience than just getting your voice and your face as a human out there publicly. And there's a higher barrier to entry with that. Like if we look at a blog versus a YouTube channel, they're fulfilling similar purposes. They're both search engines. You can grow on them in a similar way. But that's where it ends, really, because anyone can write, I think, especially with AI now. But it takes a bit more of a push for yourself to actually get yourself constantly producing videos and especially good videos. So yeah, going off on a bit of a tangent here, but video is powerful, and specifically in terms of how it helps SEO. What I've been doing recently is trying to always include a YouTube video, like an accompanying YouTube video in my blog post, especially if there's something that really makes sense to explain visually. Like if I'm doing a tutorial blog post about some kind of software tool for SEO, it's hard to explain in text and screenshots, right? So it just makes a lot more sense just to jump on a video, capture my screen, and quickly post that up on YouTube. It doesn't have to be super sophisticated. It's just enough to capture the screen and walk them through how to do it. And I think that brings a really important angle to the post that's going to really help people. And it also demonstrates your expertise. And this is a good time, I think, to point out that we all know that AI is taking over, and I love AI, but people are worried about it, overcoming the human element. And I think with video, you're a bit more kind of protected against that because, okay, we can make AI avatars and voices and all of that stuff, but I don't know about you, but I don't like listening to YouTube videos with AI voices. It's a real turnoff for me. So I think that the human niche in terms of video is much more protected, even with the rise of AI.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in fact, the last guest I just had on the show, we just talked about. I think we even used human element in the title of the podcast episode because it is. You're right. I think there's still a real need for that connection. And despite what the robots are doing for Google and YouTube to find things, people I think want to connect with people. And even when I read a blog post, right, I want to feel like I'm connected to real people. It's something I think that's going to be inherently important. And you're right. I think something about even this, right? We're having just a real conversation. We just met this morning, we're able to have a great real conversation that I think connects us, and hopefully the audience feels like they're part of something. It's not just kind of a dump of information that I think sometimes can happen. And who knows? And who knows where avatars and all that will go? We'll probably be all surprised how realistic they get. But for now, I think you're right. So as we get kind of close to here to moving into like our speed round and kind of wrapping up the show, I'm curious from an SEO perspective, we've covered a lot of ground. Is there anything that we've missed that you think someone would need to know, or that you would maybe even, is it a warning, or maybe it's just kind of advice that you could give about SEO that is something maybe that you had to look? I hate to take all your secrets, and you obviously have courses and classes we want people to go to, but is there a nugget that you would want to give us that maybe intrigues us a little bit more or helps us a little bit further along the journey?
Yeah, there is, and this is important. So there's a concept of what I'm calling the like an online brand universe, right? And this is something that I think is more and more necessary now. Let's say you're either an individual business owner, like a coach or a consultant, or you're representing a business brand. Either way, it's no longer enough really to have just one channel, especially because having just one channel leaves you a bit vulnerable, because we all know about algorithm updates, that can happen at any time, people being shadow banned on LinkedIn and Twitter or whatever. So having multiple channels active is a really good way to, first of all, protect yourself against those risks, but also to build expertise across the internet. And I believe that now AI is becoming more and more prominent, and also, unfortunately, churning out a lot of trashy content, because unfortunately there's always people who are going to use it in a lazy way, right? Like that's just unavoidable. Humans ruin everything sometimes. So, or marketers maybe. So to get beyond that, I think it's so important, yeah, to try to build out your presence on at least 2 or 3 channels. Have a blog and a website, but take those ideas and like I said earlier, find an easy way to repurpose them for YouTube videos, for LinkedIn posts, perhaps maybe for tweets if that's how you roll. I think that really helps to future-proof you against AI, and it gives you kind of a solid sense of authority, which is people are gonna be finding you and your brand all across the internet, not just in one blog or one YouTube channel. So yeah, that would be an important thing to focus on. That's what I'm focusing on, and I'm going to be teaching that in my community and an upcoming course, and living it for myself. Multiple channels all the time. And it's not as
Absolutely.
much work as it sounds. It sounds like a lot of work, but if you can bring in AI prompting, then it can be done by one person. And I don't have a team. I'm just one person. And I'm getting more and more speedy at getting this stuff done. So it's
Yeah.
possible.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I love that, right? It's kind of like the diversification of your content, of your locations, just because, yep, you never know where people are going to find you, where they might experience that. And then hopefully you have a good solid home base that they can come to and find and get that deeper amount of information. So, well, Samantha, this has been just awesome. Thank you so much for sharing so much great information. But it's time that we jump into our speed round where we're going to ask some quick questions based on the roll of a dice. So I'm going to play a little stinger, and here we go. All right, this is, I got to say, as much as I love the other conversations, this is always so much fun because we get to bring up our dice tower and we're going to roll a 12-sided die. First question is, the dot is at the bottom, so that's a 6. So the first question is, what's a piece of advice that you've received that's had a lasting impact on you? And this could be about anything. It doesn't have to be about SEO. So any lasting advice that's really impacted you?
Yes, indeed. There's probably lots, but I can pick on one that comes to mind. It's advice to take action even if not ready, and even if things are imperfect, right? I have a tendency towards perfectionism and overthinking and all of that stuff, and that can be a blocker in many ways, especially in marketing and in content creation. So this advice, like to take action even when not ready, has helped me quite a lot just to jump in with things. They don't have to be perfect, they just have to be good enough, and they can be improved over time. And I'm trying to really roll with that. It doesn't come naturally to me, but I'm getting better.
I love it. Great advice. And I think I can use that advice, particularly today. I've got some stuff that I need to do. So, all right, let's go to our dice tower again. Second roll. And here we go. A 12, which is not rolled very often. Yeah. So what's one tool that helps you get your job done on a regular basis? This could be software, a piece of physical gear, it could be anything. But what's that one tool that's like, I've got to have it whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm going?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about this one, and the really obvious answer, and this is so lame, it's like laptop, but that's just way, way too obvious, right? So I'm gonna go for my laptop stand. So I have this little aluminium extendable laptop stand, and it's so amazing. You can put it on any desk or any table, and it immediately makes it ready to be used as a standing desk. You just plonk your laptop on top, adjust the height, and there you go. Voila, you have a standing desk. And it's very portable. I take it between Lisbon and Madeira when I travel. And yeah, it's been a game changer for me. I love that thing.
Oh, that is fantastic. Great, great. We'll have to check that out. So, okay, last die roll. Here we go. 5. All right. This is a good one. If you could acquire any skill, a new skill, what would it be and why? It's going to be instantaneous. What skill do you want to gain?
Instantaneous, like totally like ninja level, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, this is a real gift. I'm not sure what to do with it, but I think I'm going to pick ninja level professional video editing skills because I'm becoming a video nerd, in my recent forays into YouTube. But editing is just such hard work. Like I can do the basics I'm using iMovie at the moment, like totally basic stuff. But it's always a struggle and it just doesn't come naturally. And I think that I've got a lot of great ideas for content, but my lack of editing skills really do hold me back. So if you could give me that skill, Matt, I would be very happy.
Well, I might not be able to give you a skill. I can level you up though. We can help you with this. We'll have to trade some tips.
That'd be good. We can
got
chat.
got some things for you. No, but that's what a great skill because it's like everything else. It is work to learn, and it's a skill that you can develop. But it is one that you can develop. But now, if I could just transfer it instantly, we'd be great. Well, Samantha, this has been fantastic. I've loved talking with you. For anyone who wants to connect with you, maybe they want to check out your resources that you talked about, your courses. Where should they go?
Yeah, so there's a few places, building that online brand universe. First, there's my website, samanthanorth.com, and that's my main hub where I blog about SEO, growing a business with blogging, and I talk about lots of different AI tools on there. So feel free to go over there. I've got a newsletter that you can join. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there as well. I'm posting almost every day. And if anyone's interested in joining my new membership community, you can get on the wait list at contentauthorityclub.com. And this is going to be all about learning how to master SEO in the new era, in the era where, AI is a major player, where expertise is really at a premium, and where the concept of the online brand universe is what business owners should be aspiring to. So feel free to come join me on those channels, and I look forward to getting to know some of you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, Samantha, we'd like to end our show in pretty much the same way every time we ask our guests for their final take. So Samantha, what is your final take?
I would say don't be intimidated by SEO. Google might be changing, but if you're really an expert in your topic and you have valuable skills to share, then don't be afraid to put them out there. Your expertise is what's going to mark you out in the future as AI content takes over the internet. True experts are going to be at a premium. So get building that online brand universe and let your expertise shine through.
Fantastic. Well, Samantha, thank you again for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, guys, you heard it. Build your online brand universe. So if you're making YouTube videos, think about your blog presence, think about all the different places you should be. If you're making learning content and you're thinking, this doesn't apply to me because I work inside my organization, you'd be surprised your LMS or these other tools might be using some type of search engine optimization to help filter things up. But even at the very least, those principles helping your audience understand what you're talking about, to know what they're going to get out of their courses, are vital. So whatever you're doing, wherever you are, we hope you take, just a little time, figure this stuff out, make yourself better. I can't give you the instantaneous skill, but we hopefully making you a little bit better every single day. So please take some time to level up every single day. Thanks, everybody.